Welcome, everyone, to another session of the Smith.ai Masters series. Today, I am joined by Hamid Kohan, who is the president and founder of LegalSoft, and he is going to be talking about scaling smarter, building an AI-powered law firm. So, the premise of this is that AI tools are transforming the way that law firms operate, but the path is always not so straightforward, and the deployments of AI are not always as easy as marketing claims may have you believe. So, implementation and the real results are really at the heart of today's presentation, and that's where Hamid's expertise comes in. So some of the things you're going to learn are why AI rollouts can stall from onboarding to change management, things that are catching firms off guard. Also, how to assess your firm's true AI readiness. So how can you identify quick wins and knowing what to fix first and what to punt later. You'll also learn what scaling a law firm with AI actually requires. So, what is that operational foundation that makes AI particularly relevant and an accelerant? I love all of the things that you put out there, Hamid, for me to share with the group as a preface. So, feel free to share your screen, which I think you're already doing, and take
Yeah,
it away.
wonderful. Thank you, Maddie. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here and talking to your audience about LegalSoft and the AI and the visual staffing. There's a lot of things happening very fast and quickly, which is very unusual into the legal industry where nothing really changed for a very long time,
So true.
almost too long. It was like probably like 40 years of lack of progress from what I saw. So I give you a little bit of background about me and my thought process into this whole industry. I came to the country when I was 13, which is like a long time ago. I went to high school here. I graduated when I was 14, went to engineering school in California, California University. I got my engineering degree when I was 17. I got recruited to Silicon Valley right away, obviously, those days. By the way, this is before internet. I'm aging myself. So I worked within this Silicon Valley environment for about 20 years into several management positions, Sun Macrosystem, HP, Compaq, Hitachi, bunch of different companies like that. And then got my MBA and got recruited to LA to be a president of a company that was in streaming media, was there for 3 years in the US Israeli company. So for 3 years, I was going back and forth in between US and Israel for a long time. Then I started my own company, which was first tech company for data management system for nonprofit organizations who work with low-income families. So I spent 20 years basically building a nationwide infrastructure how to assist low-income families throughout the country for a variety of different services. Then I exited that, and by sort of an accident, I fell into the field of law, which was helping a friend try to figure out what's wrong with their practice. And it was sort of a fun gig. I started that, and then I went in there with the Silicon Valley mentality into a law firm, which is very unusual. It's like exact opposites, scaling, growing, technology, automation, everything like that. But we are very accustomed to in the Silicon Valley mentality. With the legal it was like, no, 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 don't touch that, don't move that, don't do anything, basically. So I started as a fractional COO in between 10, 12, 15 different companies, law firms simultaneously. Personal injury, employment, workers' comp, all those kind of things. And I saw a common denominator being a problem with or a challenge with every firm. And those challenges, I tested them. There was like pretty much the same for every law practice that I came across. One was technology, so much lack of it. I mean, I used to make a joke saying that if you leave the attorneys alone, they're still wearing their pagers, waiting at a fax machine to the next fax come through. That was my joke going into this law firm. Says, put away your pager and the fax machine. I need to help you here. So we did that, and then technology was number one. And the second biggest challenge was also finding a qualified, affordable, maintainable legal staff to grow and expand. And for the life of me, I couldn't find enough local talents to fill all of these organizations uh, with a skills that is affordable and maintained. So the virtual staffing came about, which is the foundation of a LegalSoft, and that's how things sort of moved forward from there. Um, Basically, providing a combination of virtual legal staff that is sourced globally. And I also during this whole process because I was basically a MBA engineer guy within the legal industry. If you don't have a law firm, you don't count. So I got qualified and opened my own law firm as a first one of the non-attorney law firm owners.
Mhm.
So I do have a law firm for just the heck of it, so that they don't say you don't have a law firm. So I got one.
Well
Uh,
done.
Obviously, I don't practice and I don't intend to practice, but I have lawyers who work for the firm.
Mhm.
So I get to sort of practice it firsthand too from running a legal operation and also scale and help other firms to grow. So that's where we are today. So I have several different enterprises within both legal and medical. Well, I have companies who either do, AI development for legal or AI staffing or, I mean, visual staffing, legal, medical, and some other areas. Okay.
Excellent.
So one of the biggest scaling issues, let me just move this is not when we're talking about AI and visual staffing, these are enabling tools, not to replace anything yet. I know the first thing that came up with the AI, like it did with visual staffing 7 years ago, when we started placing legal virtual staff into the law firms, the first reaction was like privacy, security, um, and then would this replace the local staff and all of that? It's the same set of reservations that we went through with the virtual staffing. And the COVID was a big help because when people went home and business is still continued and work is still continued, people realized that it's not necessary to have everybody sitting in the office right next to me. They can actually operate remotely just as well. And was a big help with LegalSoft being able to provide the resources. So initially, it was tough and challenging being able to have a relationship between a full-time dedicated legal staff remotely with a local firm. We started with legal assistants first. Then we went to intake specialists. Then went to case managers, paralegals, and then one of the last push on that chain was remote attorneys. So finding remote attorneys who are actual practicing attorneys in other countries who understand law, who are educated, they understand the concept, to work for firms locally in the US as a paralegal, as assistant, and so forth, which is make it very scalable and inexpensive. These are all, by the way, full-time dedicated staff for each law firm. It's not the shared resources or per project or nothing like that. They have to blend in completely into the firm organizational chart and be included in everything from CRMs to emails, the Slacks and everything. They are fully in there. Um, so part of that process was to when you're working with the uh, law firm and you're starting to divide up the job responsibilities and SOPs and so forth is very foreign and they don't not used to doing this kind of a thing. So they say basically, I got a bunch of people running the firm. I got a bunch of people doing all the work. It's not as structured, and there is nothing done to increase the uh, productivity and efficiency of each of the segment of the firm, from intake to case management to discoveries and litigation process and so forth. So we structured that for them, and it was making it more knowledgeable and with the data collection became a very big thing. Before, data did not play only case data was mattered. The firm operation and the business did not matter. It was like I always said, there was a one good there's two good days with any law firm or the attorney in the firm. Is it the day I get a great case and the day I get a check? How that ended up started to the end, they had no idea. So I have like two great days in the year is when I get the case and when I get the check for the case. Especially where I'm like a contingency firms. So they get paid when you get paid sort of mentality. And I was just trying to figure out you need to know where it comes from, how much it costs, what's the cost of client acquisitions, what's your best channels to get them, what's your client retention, and what's the time from signing the case to monetizing the case, what's your cost on the case during that process. I didn't never got a one single firm who has one of those answers. It was always just like we get cases and we settle cases, right? And this is how it goes. So that was very revealing. So within this process, trying to find enough information, collect the information, be proactive on where your firm is going. Is not just the practice of law, is the business of law. So you're running a business end of the day. It happened to be in law. So it's not practicing law, it's practicing business of law. That has been the model for all these firms who have expanded and scaled by having the right number of team members, creating enough information where I can do analysis, predictive analysis, be proactive, and data analytics to be able to navigate between my cost of client acquisition to the lifetime value of the case and the total basically ROI or EBITDA end of the day for the practice that I'm running. So there was first all in house, and then it changed into virtual staff and AI, and that is what the continuation of the going is that being able to reduce the cost of operation like any business does. I don't care if it's like uh, Costco or Walmart, all the way to the medical facility or the law office. Is end of the day is a business. So you need to understand the concept of the business. And most attorneys, I have two of my sons are attorneys as well. Uh, they don't teach them any of that stuff in the school, out of the school, into the new job, when they're doing internship or law clerks, the last thing they ever talk about is the business of law.
Hamid, speaking of which, just to interrupt you for a second, you mentioned a term that I don't know if everyone is familiar with, EBITDA. Can you define that just for folks?
Sure. So is the earning before taxes is essentially what you take home. So again, the attorneys never that I met, and I work with 1,000 law firms right now. LegalSoft has about 1,000 law firms that are clients. During that path, we probably talked and worked with about 3,000 law firms. Earning to them is like, do we have money in the operating account that I can go buy a house with? And that becomes the income or the earnings. They don't have an analysis system, and they've never been taught in the school, like like you learn in the MBA school, or when you come out of MBA, you learn what the cost of goods is, what's the overhead cost, what's the distribution of the overhead per client or per case, and then what is my net earning end of the year, actual versus target, which is normal business practice. So earning before taxes is essentially what the firm can take home or reinvest or whatever. So they need to make a target for at least a gross fees and then net fees. And then from the net fees, you're taking the cost of goods and overhead, and then you end up with the net basically earnings for the firm, which is for the individuals as well.
Great. Thank you.
Um, So again, when you're asking the firms about the number of active cases you have, oh, I think I have 340 or 390. If you ask any business owners in anywhere else, they know exactly how many they have, how many clients they have, how much sales they have. Law firms don't do that. and they don't do any projections of the law firms, the revenue per case, the average revenue per case. For example, I'll give you an example in California. In the personal injury firm, in the pre-litigation case, the average net attorney's fees, again, this is all terms, net attorney's fees needs to be between $16,000 to $18,000 net attorney's fees per case on the pre-litigation. This is based on the thousands of PI cases in California, or for employment is something else, for workers' comp is something else, and different states. The time to spend to actually figure those things out so you're on plan is very important. And then managing the staff, the overhead, the cost of a staff per case is also extremely important. And the cost is continuously growing and getting more and more costly to operate. So you have to have your eye on that to be able to identify where you're going with the practice. Also monitoring your case acquisitions. Right now, before, again, like 10 years ago, you put your ad into TV, radio, and the yellow pages, which I don't know where the yellow pages is anymore. And then this is how you got your business. Now you have social media, you have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. You get all of these channels. On top of that, there's still the print media and the billboards and the bus benches. They got so many channels. So you need to be able to monitor these channels and find out what is your sweet spot and what's your cost of client acquisition for every channel. And then what's the conversion rate from those channels. Is a very tedious, complicated scenario. But that now is part of the business. It's not the yellow pages and radio TV anymore. It's like 15 other media sources that you need to monitor, track, and experiment because your competition is doing it anyway. So if you want to keep up with the competitors, they are either doing it in-house or hiring marketing agencies to do it for them if they're smart about it. So there's a lot of that going on creating the successful virtual staffed AI-enabled organization within the law. So before, like on this chart, this is one of my famous charts, by the way. When I finished all the consulting gigs and being involved with so many law firms, when people ask me, basically, what's in conclusion, where can I read about this stuff? I published a book when I was exiting that sort of a career part, and it says how to scale your stupid law firm. It was basically my last mark exiting the consulting mode. I still do consulting, but I only do it very selectively. But it was like I wasn't calling anybody stupid. I just called the law practice, the practicing of a law that I came to see, the practice that was stupid because it never moved for 40 years. They still were using the same office, the same computer, the same stack of paper, and the same procedures, and they didn't move with times. And I think COVID actually helped move that along. So everything was completely in-house, like the 1/3 you see on this screen. In between 2020 to 2025, our model was half and half local staff, half virtual staff, for the purpose of expansion and cost control and efficiency. So it was keep half of your staff in-house, the other half virtual, and divide up the work between them. The higher valued, higher skill set stayed in-house, and all the administrative, which is in a contingency law is about 65% of it administrative anyway. You're either doing an intake, you're doing document collection, you're doing case management, setting up treatment, following up with the treatments if it's PI, scheduling, calendaring, depositions, and whatever. All the pre-lit support is administrative. So we shifted that completely into virtual staff. And I have a law firm that has over 100 virtual staff in their organization, ranged from anywhere from intake all the way to litigation. So they have like 150 of their own local and 100 of our virtual. So it is done and it works in almost all practice time. Doesn't matter if it's a transactional law, being estate planning, immigration, bankruptcy, or family, all the way to litigation, which is employment, mass tort, and personal injury. It's starting like a 2025 going forward, the AI came into the equation. So now you have the third party, basically, somebody coming in and mistakenly thinking that they're going to replace everybody. I was on that bandwagon too because I had so much faith coming from 25 years of a tech background. I was like, yeah, we're going to conquer. We're going to take over everybody and everything, and everybody better go home and try to figure out how they're going to do farming. Because that was the only job that we were not going to replace was farmers and mechanics and electricians. But that what didn't happen. And it didn't go that way. And I don't think for a near future it's going to go that way. But it is a tool to be used to create higher efficiency, effectiveness, data collection, analytics, data analysis, and some recommendations. That is as far as I will take AI right now. And some of the very basic functions like notifying the client about an upcoming appointment or treatment or collecting some information, collecting some documents, summarizing some documents. Those things can be done, but I don't think it's ready to take a full-on intake process of the law firm. I don't think it is anywhere to be able to do any casework or case management and so forth. It will probably get there in a couple of years, which my thing is that everybody be ready to do that. But a lot of the experiment that happened right off the back, because there's like every day you wake up, there's like another 50 AI tools to go check out for law, medicine, everything else, healthcare. So it's very crowded. Every conference you go to now is like 60, 70% AI providers and so forth. You need to be involved, but I wouldn't necessarily just get in there and start implementing. That it impacts your financials and the success of the firm. Keeping that balance that you see on the screen about one third, one third, one third. Right now, until further notice, that's the recipe for a safe scaling process that is a combination of three resources. So that would be basically my recommendation. And we in LegalSoft maintain a complete list of AI tools. We have a team that evaluates the AI tools, assesses them, does a comparative analysis, does some testing and so forth for us to know out of the very, very crowded AI market, what really works and what doesn't. And then we recommend that to our client. And now we just started training our virtual staff into AI. So they also know how to use the tools, AI tools that makes them more efficient and effective. We take that from our responsibility because we manage the legal staff uh, shared responsibility with the clients. We have a very massive infrastructure in place where we train, deploy, coach, manage, track every VA and every position, their performance, their safety and security of the information, their performance level, attendance level. We manage all of that through our platform. So now we're adding AI in there. One, use AI to do that. Two, making sure our virtual staff are also AI enabled. So they
Hamid,
can, yes,
sorry to cut you off. You can finish what you were saying and then I'll ask a question.
sure. No, no problem. Go ahead.
Okay. So you said that you have a, really carefully established process for vetting AI. What are some of the pitfalls or red flags that you see among the AI providers that you would caution law firms against buying into today? Like if you're, just giving a few pointers, some advice for the law firm who is buying their own AI tools, what are some red flags that would make you turn away?
Sure. Good question. I think this is the same question when any kind of a technology evolution happened with browsers and then with apps and then with the SaaS products. You can't take it at face value. Not every app was a great app, and not every website was a great website. Right now, it's the same thing with the AI. Look, the story that comes from the AI is the marketeers and developers. Developers are always, I work in development for 25 years, so I know exactly what they do. They're they're extremely optimistic about what they have created. It's like every one of the developers thinks they found a cure to cancer. It's been like that for 50 years that I know of. And it's not. Sometimes it's just they just what created is helps your headache, not the cancer. So you have to really check references, check with the people who have used that technology for similar things that you're going to be using it. Get a third party assessment and test it before buy it. Do not get yourself into a long-term contract, big setup fees and so forth. It just because your time is valuable, you're spending time and money on it, and it is crowded. If it was like right now, when I compare this with the legal CRMs, there is like a dozen CRMs and that's it. Between Clio, FileVine, Litify, blah blah, it's like a dozen of them. So very proven record between which one does what and how good they are. And so you talk to a bunch of your colleagues and say, no, I like Clio because of this, I love FileVine because of that, and I like my case for these features or this cost. With AI, you can't do that. It's like every morning you wake up, there is a 20 new ones. Imagine if on the CRM we had 600 CRMs available for a law firm. I can tell you that no law firm would ever buy one because they can never finish evaluating them.
Right.
So right now, that's what AI is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so are there some signals? Maybe it's longevity, experience of the founders, some other factors, the size of the team. Are they really building anything in-house, or are they just kind of, putting lipstick on a tech stack? What are some of the things that you would caution people to ask about if they're in these conversations with salespeople?
Sure. The intake is still very challenging, which is especially when you're um, talking with the firms who intake is a bit complex, like employment, which is not factual, is more like emotional for
Hmm.
most parts. So you gotta figure those things out. And I have a perfect example. I have a class action employment firm with about 20 attorneys who an agency came in and says, we're going to run the campaign, we're going to do the intake, and we're using extensive AI to analyze, summarize, and make recommendations on the intake and give it to you guys. They did that for like 2 months. They spent about $50,000 and they couldn't sign anything. And I asked the managing attorney, I says, what the heck? Uh, you haven't signed any cases. He goes, Hamid, this is crazy. I used to get a basic intake form. I know exactly what they said in the intake form, and I know which one was my keyword to pick up and move forward with.
Hmm.
Now I get this 5-page summarized, analyzed,
A
recommended
dissertation
stuff.
on every case. Right.
Exactly. It says,
Hmm.
one, after the fourth one that I read, I'm not reading anymore because I'm not going to read 5 pages to find out if this is a case or not. And then it gets so diluted by analogies and explanations and summaries that I lose the point. I want to know, for
Right.
example, in this one, it is like, tell me if you're terminated at will or not. Okay, just yes or no. Have you been terminated? Or if it
Right.
was discriminated based on disability. So you were pregnant disability, for example, case. All I
Hmm.
need to know is that where you got terminated when you were pregnant and you came back to work and there's no job, I got the case. This thing just wrote up 5 page about stuff that I don't need to know. I just need
Frankly,
so
a child could probably do that, right?
exactly. So that was like one example of things.
Mhm.
Um, the second examples was when there was uh, just we had an intake team of like 35 full-time intakers. So we implemented the AI and we cut back 1/3 of the intake team, replaced it with the AI intake, and we had an 18% drop in business because of it.
Wow.
And you're like, okay, we can afford to do that. Let's parked the AI, and we tried three different AI intake solutions, three different ones. And they all showed the same result, which was loss of business or loss of client. So we switched it right back and says, okay, we get those 10 virtual intakers that we have, we brought them back. And
Mhm.
then we use the AI to basically do the outbound on the things that the intake team missed or couldn't connect because it was the wrong time, right place, whatever. So
Fill in
now
the
we made,
gaps,
yeah,
basically.
so we made it an enablement to the
Hmm.
intake, not replacing the intake. So that
Mm.
we had an increase of like 8 or 9% because now AI was sorting uh, through the rejected or not connected leads. So
Yes,
that worked. But then
right.
again, we went all the way and then we retreated back. And it's like,
Yeah.
let's not
And
do this.
and those are AI only solutions, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. And now there's those things that like the AI agent-backed solutions. So there's a combination of AI
Smith
and
AI,
agent.
right?
Like Smith.ai does that. There's others who do that, and there is organizations who have created that on their own. So they just got some basic AI inbound, outbound tools, and they still have their intake people or case managers or whatever answering phones. But this complete switch, the on and off, I go from fully human to fully AI. We
It's
tried it
still
in our
emerging
own
technology for a
our
reason.
own law firm. By the way, if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have told you, no, it's absolutely possible. Get
Hmm.
rid of your entire team, and I'm just going to give it AI to do the whole thing. But when we experimented it, it didn't pass the test. It's almost like one of those FDA approved or non-approved drugs, right? We went from fully FDA approved, right? It's not FDA approved. So
There's a
don't
big warning label on it. I
exactly.
like
So
that
don't
analogy.
do this at home. Don't take it at home. You just like
Here are all the risks
yeah,
associated with this
you need
consumption.
to experiment.
Right.
So one of the things we do in this within this scaling process is organizational chart. This is what we learned in tech, about 40 years ago. You can't have an organization that doesn't have a chart. You know, it's like not having birth certificate. You need to got one of those. So when you're asking people, how is your organization set up? They need to visualize it. It's not like, I think I have four case managers, five paralegals, three attorneys, and a few admins. This is what I usually hear. I say, okay, let's go on the whiteboard and start charting this out. So we can exactly know for the purpose of identifying exactly what department does what, creating SOPs. Um, but for those who don't know, it's the standard operating procedure for every position, for every department. Then the KPIs for have the targets, achievements for each person, and the compensation plan and expectation, and the case management, load management. Everything needs to be done within the org chart. So when we created the org chart, we also create all the positions that can be in-house or virtual. So this is a typical example for a personal injury firm, which has this is an organization for probably the firm has like 800-900 active cases, and this is a breakdown of the staff they need to operate the practice at its premium. Every different practice type has a different org chart like this. At LegalSoft, we help them develop this and then staff it to that level. So in this case, the dark blue is the in-house, and the light blue is all the virtual staff that we can place to do that. By the way, when you're looking at like a 10 virtual staff position, cost-wise is equal out of the 10, uh, basic is equals to 3 in-house staff. So that's the ratio because of the cost of it. The average cost is about $2,500 fully loaded for a full-time legal virtual staff, versus typically in the nation we're running about 8 to 10,000,
Per month.
including all the benefits, taxes, insurance, and all that stuff. So this is a very scalable model. So we have like people like a practice consultants in house where they get into the call, they try to figure out your practice, what kind of what level you are, how you can scale, both on the marketing side, operations, and building referral networks. Everything we do consultancy within LegalSoft. So we consult with the practice We are not the staffing house. We're not a recruiting house. We are a practice consulting operation, but it comes with both recommendations, partners, technologies, and virtual staff to help you scale the practice.
I mean, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
With this org structure, I see the intake is its own column. How does this change if, should I read this as basically PI
PI, employment, all the contingency firms, from workers' comp to
or injury to some extent,
any
right?
kind of
Yeah.
injury and any kind of even for I have a huge immigration firm that
Mhm.
has like 39 intakers. It's
Mhm.
huge. Does a nationwide with
Yeah.
45 different locations, and
Mhm.
the intake is completely separate team with the 39 staff. Because look, the intake in the law firm is equal to sales team in a regular business.
Absolutely.
They're selling. So you never see in any organization that is scaling the sales department being part of operation.
Right. They're not assigned to each different
Nothing.
team.
You just like
Right.
my salespeople is my salespeople. My VP of sales
Right. The
reports to
sales team
me,
is
and
dedicated.
he controls my livelihood.
My
Right?
my question is more like how does this org structure differ if or maybe how do you transition to this if you're doing family law, estate, etc. What I've found even in some injury firms is you have an intake manager who's dedicated to this attorney. You have an intake manager who's a specialist dedicated to this attorney. And each of the attorneys have their share of different case types, right? But here, it's more siloed. Are you still seeing specialties within the intake specialists, or are they general
Now
across the
you
firm?
you can't pick and choose the call or chat that is coming in and say, okay, so if it's catastrophic injuries goes to the right, if it's soft tissue goes to the left, and it's not like that. It's like they all have to be trained. Uh, Look,
They're all cross-trained.
if this is an injury firm,
Mhm.
the intake is the injury intake.
Yeah.
Okay, if he's a family law or immigration, every single one, like you said, by the immigration,
Mhm.
like you have family immigration, business immigration, student visas, all this other stuff. When the calls and leads comes in, you can distribute it to the specialist. The specialist is an immigration intake specialist. So from the beginning, intake is going to determine what type of a uh, immigration application you're going to need. And you
Mhm.
can't determine that or let the client to determine that, oh, I think I want to be, get a fiance visa or I want to get a student visa. No, they don't know. We talk and then we'll see what's the best solution for you. Same
Right.
thing with employment or injury or even mass tort and so forth,
Mhm.
is your intake team is a gateway to the firm for every type of the case that a firm handles or refers out. I have a firm that refer out about 25-30% of their cases, but
Mhm.
it comes through the intake and they decide that we don't do this, but we have an intake, we have a referral partner that I'm sending it off to. So they monetize that as well. A lot of firms miss on that.
Oh yeah.
That if you don't want a case, doesn't mean nobody else wants it. It's
Right.
like,
Don't kick
you
them back
know,
to Google.
that's
Right.
why we got that's why we got thrift stores. You know? Because if I don't want this shirt, I'm sure somebody else wants it. So so it's like they can't throw it away. They just refer it out to a referral partner. And we help
Yeah.
firms establish referral partnerships and how to
Great.
manage it, how to control it, how to monetize it. But yeah, intake is cannot be under uh, 5, 8 different managers, basically, being attorneys or COOs or operations, is his own independent. You never find in any organization in any industry that a VP of sales, which is your intake manager, reports to anybody other than the CEO because it's the most important part of the business.
Let me
Nothing
ask you
comes
a
in,
question.
nothing gets out.
I have a question from William. He said, what about transactional law or estate planning, orgs intake? What's your sense of that?
It's the same thing. You don't know when that call comes in that becomes your perfect client. So you have to have a trained and incentivized intake person. Look, when you have this intake, I have many estate planning firms that are LegalSoft clients, and they've been able to double their caseloads by having a dedicated intake person. Imagine if you both inbound and outbound. So I give you a perfect example about estate planning. Every estate planning, I'm sure the attorney would know too, is that including my own estate planning attorney, where 6 months after it's written, it expires because life changes. I sold a house, bought a house, my son became adult, getting a divorce, selling something, buying something. So whatever estate planning you did is expired. Who calls every single client that you have in your practice that you've done this for past 10, 15 years, calling him every 6 months to schedule a checkup, just like a doctor. This the trust in the states needs to be checked up, just like you go into your doctor for a checkup, because life changes, and what you wrote was good for that day and that year and whatever is probably now changed. So we have our intake folks not only do taking the incoming, they also call and fill up the firm's calendar by tuning up and checking up on the previous clients in estate planning to check their status. They're asking 5 questions. Have you made any major investment? Have you liquidated anything? Have you any family member has changed? Whatever, whatever. If they say yes to anything, set up appointment. I need to know how is this going to impact your plan. And I need to rewrite your plan, which is revenue to the firm.
That's great. I mean, in some ways, that's quite transactional. In other ways, it makes us think that what we label as transactional maybe is more relational than we want to give it credit for.
Everything to me in the law is relational because you also have a big element of the referrals. If you keep in top of things with your clients, 1/3 of your practice gonna get driven by referrals because when was the last time people got a call from the attorney and says, I think it's really time for me to check on your treatment or check on your estate plan or whatever. They get so impressed that, oh my God, he's really on top of it.
Extremely rare. Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And then
Which
from
is
that,
so
I get 5 more referrals. Now I have 5 more clients.
because you're top of mind, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Those are the very basic things that people again in the law practice miss because they're not used to it. Just like the concept I just told you about estate planning. I literally don't know any estate planning attorney other than a few that I work with that actually do that. Having an outbound, call and check up on all of my previous clients and um, set up a schedule so I can rewrite their plans or update their plans. Tax stuff changes, life changes, whatever, which what you just created 2 years ago is obsolete.
right. Yeah, watch any crime show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Chris asks, from a messaging positioning standpoint, often true differentiation is severely lacking, especially among the medium or large law firms. And the AI adoption is often a change, communications culture mindset shift, that needs to occur in parallel. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree, and is a real time thing that is keeps changing. It's like even with the AI being personable versus robotic, it improves on a daily basis. And the messaging that I point out another messaging issue is that uh, because of the media, if you're doing a post in the media or doing ad campaigns or whatever, the static stuff is over. The pictures and the messages and the statements and so forth is over. They want to have people talk about things that relates to me and not just do a post. It's like I guess the big part of this personal injury stuff, it says we get paid when you get paid. If you're injured, call me. It's like who wants to hear that stuff anymore? It's like it's so old, so uh, whatever outdated. It's like, come on, change. Talk about something else.
Yeah, how
Something,
does it affect me? Right.
yeah, how does it affect me and how is it affected with the times and so forth.
Yeah,
Uh,
and how am I going to be taken care of, right?
right,
I mean, you not paying up front means something transactionally, but it doesn't mean anything relationally, right?
exactly. Everything now is relationship based, and the most effective sort of messaging right now is real person, real time people talking to people, explaining their situation, explaining their services, explaining their differentiation. When you see 5 videos from 5 different law firms, you take a look which one you actually connect with. That's the one you want to be, that you're connecting to them. It's not just a message. Oh, I get you a big settlements. I got billions for people. I mean, everybody's got tired of listening to that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I connect to you? This is why we do a lot of a redesign of the firm's online presence, because we're all static, written reviews or pictures, no videos, no video testimonials, no connection. So when you go in there, it's boring as it was 20 years ago. It's just all static statements and comments and
Yeah.
written reviews from 18 years ago. It's like, if you want to scale and grow, you need to change all of that up.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has a top 100, badge on their website, right?
Right,
Um,
exactly.
so what does it mean? So let's get back to, the AI layer here. How did you identify that there was this need for this layer when it seems like things are extremely well organized in your firms? Why why do you need that implementation layer and you don't, just trust to roll it out slowly at the
Because
individual department
sure,
level?
we just started providing some AI implementers because it's not like people are used to, like, buying a computer for your office and you just buy a PC or a Mac and turn it on and you're good to go, or you sign up to this service or this CRM or whatever. AI is not like that. AI is a lot more about implementation than the actual functionality of the AI. It needs to be customized, implemented, tracked, monitored within your law practice because you operate different than the next guy and the next guy. So it is a custom made situation. It's not one size fit all right now. It might someday, I don't know, a year, 2 years from now, it might become uh, a setup. Even when I experienced with when Clio and Filewine and Litify and my case came about, they started from like one size fit all. And then we went into this implementation and there was a CRM. It wasn't like AI. The firm experience had to do with the implementation process, not the software itself. Is when we customized it, implemented, training people how to use it, they became, oh, this CRM is amazing. You give the same CRM to the similar law firm, and they're like, oh my God, this just makes my life more complicated. It takes too long. Nobody knows how to use it. The customer service is terrible. Same exact software for the two similar law firm with a total different experience. AI is that plus then some. So when you say like even a document collection, which is the simplest part of the AI, um, I like to send 3 messages a day to my client to collect this document versus one, versus being short, versus being long, and send a QR code or send a link or send a reminder. All needs to be customized. And AI can do all of that, but you need to tell it what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and then you implement it. It's the same thing with writing demands, litigation support, pre-litigation support. There's a lot of elements that the AI can fit in and enhance the experience, productivity, efficiency, but you got to break it down. It's not, again, cure to cancer. It doesn't work like that. You got to start dealing with the headache first. And once you fix the headache, then the body ache, and then on and on and on until we get to the cancer part.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my message about the AI implementation.
So specifically here, this brings up a good question. And Chris, it actually relates back to your, broader bird's eye view, which is how much context does the AI you implement need to have on an ongoing basis with the underlying objectives of the firm, with the mission and values of the firm, with the, core work pillars, so to speak. And how much does it have to call back to that in actually executing the work? Because uh, insofar as AI can understand different objectives,
Mhm.
maximizing client outcomes and balancing that with maximizing firm outcomes, um, which are often aligned.
Yeah.
Uh, how much general context do you need to set for each firm versus specific task-oriented context and instruction?
Well, let me start with this. Is again, it goes back to my years before this stuff with the IT and the software development and so forth. All of a sudden, I don't know, 40 years ago or so, when the servers came and the software took off, and we had all the server base between Microsoft and HP and so forth, all of a sudden there was a whole new position created called the IT guy. We all went out and hired the IT guy because now it got too complicated. It's like between my email and my server and my content and my access management and my software installation and upgrades and updates and so forth, I'm running a business. What the hell is all of this stuff about? So let's go get an IT guy. So we all ran out, every business and company I know, from one IT guy to like a team of 20, 30 IT guys. We went and got them because they needed to own this thing that we don't want to deal with.
Right.
I mean, just keeping up with the Microsoft upgrades and updates and Oracle and this and that. Who the heck has time to actually figure out what the hell they're doing? Um, so we got an IT guy. Now, after all of those years where IT guys are retiring, we need to get an AI guy. And the AI guy is the one who's going to own all of this and says what we get, when we get it, how much we pay, how we implement it, how we train our people, and when we replace it.
Hmm.
So you need an AI guy.
There is a
And
unification layer, is what you're saying, and it's not just
exactly.
AI.
It's
There's
the
a
whole
human
job.
element.
It's not
Hmm.
a department. If you have a growing business, it doesn't matter again, it's legal or anything else, and you want to
Yep.
scale and you want to keep up with time, you're going to have an AI department, want it or not. You might start with one AI guy, and then it turns into five AI guys, but you need the AI guy. So
Frankly, yeah. I mean, and what the state bars are putting out, depending on where you live, some of them are being more proactive than others. There's a lot of AI governance and monitoring and assessment of the outputs that relate to casework. So
yes,
there is
the
a
AI guy
large
right now,
supervisory responsibility.
absolutely, the AI guy's job and responsibility and risk and rewards and everything is 10x of the IT guy.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot more powerful, a lot more impact, a lot more cost, whatever, everything. So in fact, we are launching a new company called AIvirtual.com, which provides the AI guy now. So basically, other than just a legal staff, we provide AI implementers and AI administrators to be able to take that role of the entire business, AI implementation, management, the confidentiality and data security and so forth itself is huge, can make or break a business. So we need an AI guy to keep a watch on it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And there's almost a council to some degree that needs to form, or at least with the partners, on making sure everyone is informed on what those policy decisions are, right? And
Right.
and how they need to shift over time, because you can't just set it up and say, well, this is our policy, because tomorrow there's going to be new technology that basically forces you to continue evolving your policies.
Yes, exactly. And this is basically some of these items that we just talked about is like the AI guy, not only from safety, security, implementation, support, training, it needs to set up AI situation for case value forecasting, revenue pipelines. This is all data analytics from the business that the AI needs to get involved, manage and help and build the analytics. So there's a lot of different things needs to be done. I know we're running on time right now,
They
but
are.
I'm gonna stop sharing so we can continue our conversation. But
Okay.
yeah, so there is a lot to cover. There's a lot of things to do, but we just need to know that we're getting into a new era of the AI, and it's not a simple or slam dunk situation at all. But we don't have a choice either. We need to have an AI presence, and AI implementation.
I think you've brought up a lot of excellent points today, just even in, the last hour. If people want to speak to you more specifically about how your solutions can help their law firm, how would they get in touch with you or your team, Hamid?
Um, My direct contact is my email is h as Henry Kohan Kohan at legalsoft.com.
Mhm.
Or if you go to the website, legalsoft.com, there's my contact information and a phone number. We'll be
Mhm.
happy to speak with anybody who is interested to do anything related to the legal industry, staffing, virtual staffing, AI implementation, and so forth. And we can assist with that. And I'll be happy to hear from the audience.
Are you working with firms of all sizes, or is there a specific, size or type of firm that you're looking at?
Is all sizes. It's from what I refer to somebody who just fell off the bar, um, who just passed the bar yesterday. We start with that guy. He just fell off the bar, so we grab him and
That's
we'll
great.
build a firm around him. All the way to the firms have hundreds of attorneys working there and so forth. So no, there
Great.
is no size, there's no geographical location or size. A small, medium, large. We'll deal with all of them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I learned a lot in this session. I'm sure everyone else did as well. Hamid, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Take
Bye
care,
bye.
everyone. Bye.